welcome back to the show. Got another solo episode today. We're diving deep. This recording's happening towards the end of January. It's freezing cold out here in New England, and we just got dumped on like 2 feet of snow. So what that means is I'm stuck inside on my laptop working and on YouTube University, diving deep into some of these topics we're talking about today, which are all really around the mindset of business owners, which obviously is the focal point for this podcast going forward. And I think one thing that I've kind of honed in on recently and hearing some other podcasts and reading some books recently, there's an inherent challenge for entrepreneurs to get stuck in analysis paralysis. And I think it happens more so as you grow. Because as you start to do more business and you start to understand that you're an expert in your field and you believe in yourself and your ability to do the work and you have a good thing going and you have some business coming in and you start to do some things right, there's a challenge where you're like, well, I don't want to do something wrong. And you start to get overcritical of the decisions that you make. And what that creates is inaction. And I think inaction in the end is one of the silent killers for momentum and growth. You're better off making a decision and figuring it out along the way. Worst case, you make a mistake. You hire someone, doesn't work out, you fire them. Or you spend, $5,000, $10,000 on a marketing campaign that doesn't work. Well, move on. Stop the campaign, try something different. Or you host a big event. You spend $10,000, $20,000 hosting an event and you don't get, the type of turnout you want. Okay, pick yourself up, move on. You have a tough call with a client, doesn't go the way you wanted to. Figure out a solution to make it better and move on. Go talk to the next customer. It's all about your next at bat. So I think there's one framework that I've heard and I want to talk a little bit about to hopefully help some of you the way it's helped me think about some of these decisions. And I don't want to say, as I say this, I don't want people to make rash decisions. I definitely am not that type of person. I definitely find myself being way more analytical than I should be, which is why I'm thinking about these things. But it's the idea of, when you're making a decision, you have to figure out, is this going to be a decision that fundamentally changes the trajectory of my business or changes or goes against my character, changes who I am? Is it consequential? Are there big consequences as a function of this decision? Could it completely derail my business or change my trajectory? Or is it inconsequential? Does it really not matter? Like, for example, someone goes, what do you want for lunch today? Where do you want to go for lunch? If you can't make that decision fast, that's a problem. Like, as a business owner, you have to be able to make decisions quick. And I think it's a funny test for people, but I've actually started to pick up on it more. When you go out to dinner with individuals and business owners, see how long they look at the menu for. It's not always true. Some people, of course, are anomalies, but those who are doing massive things with a lot going on, the menu's up and down in maybe a minute. I'll get the steak. What do you want? What are your sides? All right, broccoli, mashed potatoes. I'll get broccoli, mashed potatoes, thanks. Because it doesn't matter. Like, whether they eat steak or chicken, like, it doesn't matter. Then you have some people who look at the menu for 2 hours. And granted, that's across the board. There's some sure CEOs who have the time to look at the menu for 2 hours. But the point of that is, if the decision is, do you want mashed potatoes or French fries? Whether you choose mashed potatoes or French fries, it will not change anything about your life, your trajectory of your life. Similar to an Instagram caption. I'm so bad at this, but it'll be like, do you like this caption? My marketing person will say. And I'll be like, well, let me look through it. I don't want to change this, change that. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What am I doing? Does it really matter? If I change these 5 words, does it matter? And the answer is no. Okay, post it. Like, why am I wasting time on small decisions? So you got to focus on the bigger decisions. For example, should we hire another salesperson? That's a bigger decision. In short, does it really matter? Still not huge. Versus, should I look to acquire a new company or change industry directions, move from residential lending to commercial lending? Those are huge decisions. Those require thought and you got to put some thinking to it. But the smaller decisions, don't worry about it. If it's not going to change your trajectory, go against who you are or your values, then don't worry about it. Say yes or say no, move on. Get the chicken, I don't care. Get the steak, I don't care. Doesn't matter, right? So I get fired up about this because it was a revelation I've had recently. And I'm like, why do I care if I have chicken or steak for lunch? I don't. Like, I like both. Just get me whatever. It's funny when you apply it to that logic, it breaks it down so simply, but apply it to your business. I think it's really important. I think people go through it all the time. Should I reply to my customer now or should I wait an hour so they don't think I'm busy, so they don't think I have nothing else going on? When's the right time? You start Googling it. When's the right time to talk to people about sales conversations? You're like, does it matter? Just send the text, make the call, It's not going to change your business. And don't let that fear stop you, because that's the fear breakdown. Once you know nothing major is going to happen as a result of your decision, then just make it. And the same thing goes for even those moderate decisions. Like, okay, I was just talking to some entrepreneurs and they were hiring someone for their team. They were going to hire a new sales professional to come in and hopefully help grow their business. Sales professional wanted a base. They were giving a base income. So there was a cost to do that from a monetary standpoint. And obviously operationally, they have to invest some time, some resources to train this person. And ultimately they're like, well, I don't know if we should do it right now. And I'm like, okay, what's the worst thing that happens? They go, well, it doesn't work out. I'm like, okay, qualify it, quantify it. What does that mean? It doesn't work out. How much money do you spend? How much time are you going to put into? What's the cost of doing that? Did some math, like, well, I was going to pay him $5,000 a month. Say I hire him for 2 months. Probably going to take 15, 20 hours of training time. That's probably running me, say, $100 an hour for our respective staff to train them. So we're talking maybe $1,500, $2,000 to train that person. And then another, say, 2 months of salary. So $10,000. So you're talking like $12,000 altogether. Okay, 12,000. How much do you make on a new customer? $500. Okay. So worst case, you lose 12,000. Best case, they're a home run sales producer and they're your top guy, right? Yes. Okay. How much does your top sales rep bring in revenue? 200,000? Yes. Okay. So what's the decision? You just said worst case, you lose 12,000. Best case, you make 200. Sounds like a pretty good proposition to me, but people get fearful. They're like, well, what if it doesn't work? Take a step back, break it down to numbers, qualify the decision. Is it going to change the trajectory of my business, go against who I am, my values, or not? If not, then go for it. Like worst case, you spent 10,000. Like, okay, move on. But the next time you hire someone, you'll be that much better because you took the step. Best case, you hit it out of the park. They're a home run and they're your top sales professional. They triple your company's revenue. Like you don't know what the possibility is. So as long as it's not one of those decisions that can't easily be reversed or rebounded from, then go for it. So I think that's a good framework for people to think about. I know it's helped me, might not help you, but I would give it a try. As you're making those decisions, even in your day to day, again, same thing like scheduling on your calendar, sending emails, posting content. If it doesn't matter, then don't make it. Don't make it matter, right? Small decisions. I would just pull the Band-Aid, make them. And I'm telling you, it's helped alleviate a lot of stress for me. I'm sure we'll talk about this more in the future episodes. We've got some big guests coming up. So hopefully you'll stay tuned and we'll see you in the next one.